Alright guys, so welcome back to my channel. Today I'm just going to be deep conditioning my hair with this Miche deep conditioner. This one is the Strengthen Protein Deep Conditioner made with baobab protein and mango butter. So this will be my first time trying it, but while I'm applying it, I'm just going to be talking about basically dark skin representation in the new movie. Well, it's not new anymore, it's been out for a while, but people are still talking about it, so it's still relevant. I just thought it would be good to talk about because Queen in the movie, I mean, she's a main character and she's a dark skinned black woman, and that's not something we necessarily see all the time. So to be honest, it was kind of refreshing to see her in that role, even though there were some problematic things about her role. She was a great actor. It's just, I think the filmmaker's choice of portraying her at times, she just basically fed into certain stereotypes, like the black girl stereotypes. So one of them was black women being like the strong black woman. I say that because, like, yes, she had her vulnerable times in the movie, but there was just too many times where they made her seem like she was really strong. Like when she got shot in the leg, and like a few scenes after, she was just walking like nothing ever happened. And not just any dark-skinned woman, but a woman who's not necessarily the beauty standard or like holds up to these beauty ideals, really just in the black community. Like the first thing is she's a slender woman. She's not thick, you know, with a big butt or anything. This is how it looks, by the way. And she has short hair. Like it looks like she just did like the big chop kind of look, you know, the TWA, with her curls not even defined at all, just like a straight teeny weeny afro. So I like just seeing that on the screen. It was really refreshing, but you know, it's not just good enough to have that dark skin representation. It's actually more important, like how are they portrayed. And I always like scrutinize like dark skins in lead roles, just because first off, that's not common. I mean, I don't really watch TV, but from what I've seen, it's not really common. And it's also not common that dark-skinned women aren't portrayed in a certain kind of way that feeds into stereotypes. So even though her representation in this movie wasn't horrible for dark-skin representation, there were some moments and some scenes that really just played into certain black girl stereotypes, which I'm gonna get into later. I keep saying it was refreshing, but it was refreshing to see a dark-skinned woman in the lead role. And also she was like coupled, I guess you can say, with another dark-skinned black man, which normally, like, black people in a movie are normally with someone from a different race, or like even if they are with a black woman, it's most often like the dark-skinned male and the light-skinned woman. So in Queen&Slim, it wasn't a movie that's like what's already out here, basically, is what I'm trying to say. One of the things that I didn't like is I feel like she really fed into that strong black woman stereotype, just because like the first thing I can think of is after she got shot, the scenes after that, she never like she just walked around with the bandage still on, kind of like it didn't really hurt her, even though she just got shot in the leg. So I feel like by having her be portrayed like that, it kind of fed into, like I said, the strong black woman stereotype. And another thing that's really interesting is, I didn't know this until after I watched the movie, but the filmmakers, when they were trying to find a character to play that role, the casting description for Queen was, I'll post the exact description on the screen, but the two key words were tough exterior and a black girl who would play the field, like in the slavery days, which is a very weird way to describe a role. She was basically saying she wanted a dark-skinned woman, but then she also added tough exterior. So that's just, like, based on the casting call, it just showed that she wanted to portray Queen in a certain way, you know, like with a tough exterior. And that just goes back to that strong black woman stereotype, which I don't like. Queen&Slim, they weren't really in a romantic relationship. So I get what you guys are saying. Like, I heard a lot of people say it was struggle love, and I heard like a struggle love narrative, but I also heard some people say that it wasn't. My thoughts on their relationship in the movie was basically they weren't in a relationship until the end, because they kind of grew on each other because of the pain and the struggles that they were both experiencing. So it wasn't like a genuine attraction, I guess you could say. It just felt kind of forced, because it's like they spent a lot of time with each other. They were going through the same things, so they just ended up together. But one thing I can say about dark skin representation in this movie, at least for the females side, is she wasn't like the typical dark skin that you would see portrayed in the media. She wasn't ratchet, or she wasn't that ratchet girl that is a character that they most often portray for a dark skinned girl. So it was different in that way. But like I said, it also did feed into negative stereotypes at the same time. Oh, I guess all of these things kind of feed into the same kind of stereotype that I just mentioned, which is the strong black girl stereotype. But her dominance is something that I feel like they purposely wanted to make a point in the movie. Like, and even the pictures they took on set was like her position. I'll put a picture on the screen, but they were like posing together, but she looked more dominant because of the way that she was posed and how she was like, her head was above his. I don't know. Like, one thing is, when they got pulled over by the cop, she was the first one to make all the decisions. Like, and he kind of just listened to her. So even though he was driving the car, she was still making the moves. So honestly, she was the one saying, let's go here, let's go there. She was the one that decided to run away in the first place. They also made her seem kind of desperate. I mean, just the way they met. And also, I mean, she's an attorney. Not saying that the man always has to make more in the relationship, but like, I don't even remember what his job was. But just everything, the dynamics in their like sort of relationship just played her out to be the more dominant one. Which feeds into, I mean, that's just a dark-skinned stereotype. Like, people portray dark-skinned women as more dominant or even more masculine, or even like the filmmakers said, with a tough exterior. So because they were like looking for someone with a tough exterior, whatever that means to them, clearly that just means a dark-skinned woman. I just want to finish this off by talking about like the after conversations with Twitter. Well, I just found out about it through YouTube, but basically people were, not even people, black men on Twitter were upset that Queen, the dark-skinned woman in the movie, was like with Slim in the movie. Like, they were mad that she played as a black woman in a black relationship, but she dated this white guy. I don't know his name. He's like an actor. His net worth is like 8 million. But they were mad because she dated a white man in real life, basically. And I'm just like, why? Like, why would you be mad? Especially because, like, they do the same thing. Childish Gambino does the same thing. And it's just a movie. But Jodie did release some tweets saying how men have never made her feel, not even men, black men have never made her feel good about her skin. They always used to make fun of her dark skin. And she was basically saying how she got more appreciation from her white husband. So yeah, but people were calling her a bedwench for acting in a black relationship, because it wasn't really a relationship to me, and like marrying a white man. And one of the videos I saw here on YouTube, some guy was saying he doesn't support the movie Queen&Slim. He doesn't even want to watch the movie simply because she's in an interracial relationship in real life. But I'm just like, but in the video he was like, I'm for black love, except dark skin. So I'm just like, you're complaining that Jodie, a dark-skinned woman, is dating a white man, but you just said you yourself does not have a preference for dark-skinned women. You have a preference for light skin. And honestly, if we're being real, like, preference, I mean, you can like whatever you want, but I feel like a lot of times preference is tied to colorism. So I guess their thoughts were that you can't be pro-black and then be in an interracial relationship, but they wouldn't. I mean, they all called Jodie out a woman, but they never called like people like Childish Gambino. I mean, he's This Is America pro-black, but he still dates interracially, which I don't see a problem with. But when it's the other way around, I just don't get it. But I did like that for Queen, they did have some moments where she felt really vulnerable and opened up and talked about her feelings. So we got to see her really vulnerable side, which in terms of dark skin representation is a good thing, because I don't think that's really shown as often. But in terms of portraying Queen with a tough exterior, I think the directors and the people involved did a really good job at that, because if you see the pictures of her like outside of the movie and then you see the pictures of her for the movie, like on set, and you see the pictures of and just how she looks in the movie in general, she just looked like they purposely roughed her up, which I don't know how I feel about that, because I think just the fact that they were looking for someone who would play a field slave or whatever, a dark-skinned woman with a tough exterior, I just feel like, why? If it was a light-skinned woman, would you still want to portray her with a tough exterior? Do you think that she has to have dark skin in order to properly play a woman with a tough exterior. I just don't like that word, that phrase. Another thing, I know people had a problem with this movie because it's like another movie back to back right after the Harriet Tubman movie. Just the fact that, again, a black movie but not with African Americans, with like foreign blacks. I mean, I'm a foreign black because, I mean, I'm Caribbean, but I was raised and born in America. But yeah, people have a problem with foreign blacks playing in American movies, like back to back to back. Like the last one, like Queen&Slim, I didn't really see, like I understand people's outlook on it, but for me, I didn't really see it as a problem. But with the Harriet Tubman movie, I can't say the same thing because Harriet Tubman is like, she's a historical figure. So I feel like it would have made more sense for an African American person to play it because it's like a historical movie. It's not just like a made up movie. And I mean, yeah, that's pretty much all my thoughts on it. Now, this is the last thing I'm gonna say. It was kind of cool to me, the fact that they were going from the north to the south instead of the south from the north. Just because this movie honestly reminded me of like, I mean, I can see the parallel between, you know, the prison system and, you know, police brutality and targeting black people. Just because like in the movie they were running, like they didn't do anything wrong, but they were running away, and it kind of reminded me of like, I mean, they were running for their freedom, you know, from injustice. And I mean, that kind of reminded me of slavery, except the direction they were traveling was opposite. But yeah, those are all my observations about the movie. I'll probably think of some more later, but if I do, I'll update the description box. I'm gonna go sit under a hooded dryer and finish this deep conditioning up. See you guys next time. Wait, this feels so smooth in my hair. So smooth.